Just a quick note before this free video. If you click Wrestling Observer Live, we are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sunday, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. It is Tuesday here on the show, and you know what that means. Got a lot to talk about here tonight. NXT on the CW, the follow-up to the Halloween Havoc show, whatever happened this weekend. And yes, it is Halloween, I guess, on Thursday. So we do have a casket match on the show tonight. Of course, tomorrow is AEW Fright Night Dynamite. They're doing their Halloween show. And hey, tonight on the Bryan and Vinny show, it's our Halloween show. So make sure you've got your costumes ready, because we will. That's coming up tonight on the Bryan and Vinny show as we review a Mid-South year in review of a year that we didn't actually watch. So that should be interesting. But anyway, a lot of news today. We'll start off with the bad news, all of the injury updates and health updates on a number of people, including Phantasmo, Chris Bay, Hijo del Vikingo, Maria Kanellis, Steve Austin. And then we'll talk about what broke this morning, which is WWE launching a program to help assist with the development of independent wrestlers. How about that? So we'll tell you all about that, including a lot of details that probably you will hear here first. And then we have the Raw report and plenty more. If you'd like to text us here today, 425-780-7566. That is 425-780-7566. At 4W Online at gmail.com. At 4W Online, Threads, Instagram, and Cameo. At Bryan Alvarez on Twitter. And we'll get into all of it after the break. Stick around. Observer Live. Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. Well, let's get all the terrible news out of the way first. Starting with El Phantasmo, revealed on social media Tuesday. Last 2 weeks, I've had a bunch of scans and tests done. Doctors found a little tumor of cancer, he wrote. Things are happening really fast. I have amazing family, friends, fans by my side. So grateful to have the support of warriors who have gone through the same thing before. I look forward to help those going through it next. Believe me when I say I'm in good spirits, he said. I'm not nervous, worried, or scared. And then he offered his best wishes to Chris Bay. So obviously he's off New Japan shows for the foreseeable future. And all the best to Phantasmo as he goes through whatever this is. Don't really know other than a little tumor of cancer. So best wishes to him. TNA had updates on Chris Bay and Vikingo. Vikingo, of course, he's being treated for the right knee injury. He's on crutches and wearing a leg brace. He flew home to Mexico City Monday. He will be examined and treated by his specialist. Looked like a bad knee injury. It may have destroyed his knee, so hopefully he's all right. And then we got Chris Bay. TNA says recovering at the hospital following surgery for the neck injury suffered Sunday night. He had an MRI procedure Monday, resting in his hospital room Monday night, joking, talking about Bound for Glory and good spirits. He'll be in Detroit for a few days. Family members have joined him along with TNA wrestling management and wrestlers staying in Detroit. He's under professional care and supervision. Local medical staff has been in contact with his personal doctor. But no information other than that. No update on what happened, prognosis, anything. So, I don't know. Hopefully everything's all right. I know there was a GoFundMe, which I'm trying to find here, that I guess one of his friends started.
Yeah, I tweeted it out on my ex, at Sempervive. I know you'll do the same as well. What is very concerning is
$50,000 has already been raised.
And that's great. And hopefully there's more, because that will barely cover the stay in some of the stuff. And what is scary to me right now is the fact that that statement from TNA that got put out last night didn't say anything about he's got movement in his arms and legs. And that is scary to me, because that's one of the first things you usually hear if somebody suffers a neck injury or a back injury, that they are resting and they have feeling. Until I hear that, I'm going to stay very upset about this, because it's without hearing that, your mind goes to the worst like mine has, and I hope that's not the case.
We've also got Maria back in the hospital. She was in the hospital undergoing surgery for a mass on her adrenal gland on Thursday. Went home Saturday, back in the hospital on Sunday due to pain in neck, spine, head. Could not stand up without getting nauseous. In the emergency room, anti-nausea, morphine, caffeine, ibuprofen, magnesium, trying to get comfortable. Readmitted again, and hopefully they figured out, and she's pain-free and home soon. But does not have the results of the surgery last week. That should be coming here in about, looks like 5-6 days. So hopefully that is good news. And then Steve Austin announced that he needs a knee replacement, which is the same thing that Taz just underwent. He's had a bad knee since college and just kept going on it. Put the 2 giant knee braces on, and well, that didn't solve the problem. He did have an ACL and a PCL put in from cadaver ligaments, but looks like he needs a new knee. And Dave last night said he wanted to do WrestleMania this year, so maybe that's why he's in a hurry. But, man, I don't know what the recovery time is for the knee replacement. I don't know how Taz is doing other than, apparently rehabbing and, obviously a lot of pain. But hopefully Taz comes out of it walking like a 56-year-old instead of a 95-year-old.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for. Well, then we had the big news today. WWE is launching a new program to help assist with the development of independent wrestlers. This from WrestlingObserver.com. It is a counterpart to the NIL system for college athletes. It's a new independent development program. WWE will partner with select training schools and indie wrestlers to establish a potential pathway to wrestlers joining WWE. Organizations run by Booker T, Cody Rhodes, and Seth Rollins are among those WWE has partnered with. Under the program, WWE will provide prominent independent wrestling schools with the WWE ID official designation, with the goal of providing new trainees and existing trainees at those select institutions with enhanced development opportunities. Booker T's Reality of Wrestling, Cody's Nightmare Factory, Seth Rollins' Black and Brave Academy, Elite Pro Wrestling in Concord, New Hampshire, Knock X Pro Wrestling in LA. They're the first WWE ID independent wrestling schools to earn the official designation. WWE will also identify top independent wrestling prospects with an official WWE ID prospect designation, support their developmental journey by providing financial opportunity and assisting with training, mentorship, development, including access to world-class facilities, best-in-class ring training, athletic trainers, and more. Give fans the opportunity to follow the paths of these standout prospects of the independent wrestling scene through curated behind-the-scenes content, as well as highlights and matches showcased across WWE's social platforms. So,
lot to unpack here.
Well, a couple of things. So this is not something that just happened, obviously. It's been in the works for over a year. And I do know that there were suggestions to Tony Khan to do something like this for a while now, and they didn't do it, and now WWE has done it. There are going to be other tie-ins. Allegedly, there might be WWE matches happening at indie shows here and there, WWE talent appearing at indie shows but not wrestling, and as noted here, it's not going to be every independent group. If you're running an indie right now, it's not like they're just going to come to you. It's going to be a select deal. And, I mean, obviously, it was suggested to me, if you're an independent wrestler, clean up your social media yesterday. And that would go to anybody running an organization as well. That actually kind of ties into another discussion. Remember Samantha Irvin left?
Yeah.
She's been quite active on social media. And she said a lot of things over the last couple of days. Ricochet has been quite active on social media since leaving WWE. And there's a reason for that. It's WWE doesn't want you to do that. They don't want you to react to criticism. They don't want you to react to fans. They don't want you saying controversial things. They just want you to just lay low. And so, hey, listen, if you don't want to lay low, that's fine. But if you would like to eventually work for WWE or be a part of this deal here, I mean, that is what they want. So if you've got stuff on your social media, it's best to clean it up yesterday. And if you can't clean it up yesterday because yesterday's gone, clean it up right now as this show is going on. And I did hear, it was a couple of weeks ago, somebody was asking me, have you heard anything about these indie guys being, funded by WWE? I said, what? And so I asked, and, the answer was, I never heard anything about that. And apparently the idea, I don't know if it's actually started yet or has just been discussed with certain people, but there is going to be some funding. Now, what that means, I mean, what I heard a couple of weeks ago was it was like a scholarship system, but today it was sort of like, it's not like you're going to be paid $50,000 a year to be an independent worker, but, they may help fund gear or, stuff to upgrade your presentation. But you're not like, I don't know. It's
trans where you can
it's
go
not
from
exactly
school to
as,
school.
I don't know about even trans, but it's not like, you're being, paid like an NIL wrestler in the developmental system or whatever. But anyway, we'll talk more about this. There's more after the break. Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. Granny, how are you feeling?
I'm good. Set up an exercise program.
What kind of exercises are you doing?
Well, for one thing, just sit and
I got that one
me?
down.
kick my
Sounds like
feet.
my exercise program.
Your exercise is just sitting.
Who was the most inspiring person you have ever met?
Granny of late.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah.
I got nothing better.
I'll have to say myself.
Okay. What's the best part about having a massive heart attack?
Not dying, I guess.
There you go. Good answer.
Jeez, what a question.
Which vegetable would you send to outer space for aliens to try?
Broccoli.
How
was
do you
a
have that so quickly?
ridiculously fast answer.
You've thought about this before.
It was at WrestleMania, the one in Phoenix. I can't remember which one.
I gotta go. I have to sneeze. Bye.
Okay, bye, Granny. Granny laid on the guilt trip to end all guilt trips. Sorry, I wrote. Forgot we going 30 minutes late. And then you began. Gee, thanks. 30 minutes late. Was not told. Aggravating. I guess my time doesn't mean anything. Jeez.
Wow.
Golly. You happy, Granny? You made me so angry. You're over there snickering, laughing at what you've done. God.
Good.
You're going to have a heart attack
Anything
like
else?
Granny.
Yeah.
Goody, goody.
Goody, she says. The news of you having a...
What
Cardiac
medication
arrest.
did they give you? To make the heart blacker? You enjoying yourself, quietly giggling over there? All right, Granny. What have you got today?
Nothing.
All right, we'll see you later.
You better have something after all that.
Liv Morgan versus Ray Ripley. Just recently.
That's the date.
You told me that you watched CM Punk and Drew and didn't watch any more of the show, but this was on the show.
I know. I watched this one because I wanted to see what happened with Dominic. In which Midwestern city did rapper Eminem grow up?
Detroit.
Eminem?
8 Mile.
Okay, we had a new segment, Granny reads rapper names. That's
I'm an M.
I am an M.
Eminem.
Eminem.
Yep.
Eminem.
Ryan Adams covered an entire Taylor Swift album. What is the name of that album?
Ryan Adams.
1989.
Yeah.
That's the right answer, dum-dum.
Excuse me.
Okay, now I'll quit picking on Brian and go away.
Thanks, Granny. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Well, seen some interesting commentary on the chat about this deal.
Yeah.
Censorship. Brother, do whatever you want on your Twitter. Like, do whatever you want. I'm just telling you, if you want to be a part of this WWE family, you can't have stupid stuff on your social media. They don't want you to have an OnlyFans, some wild OnlyFans. And the fact of the matter is, you can get on them if you want, but it's far from the only company on earth that wants you to have a clean social media. Right? Am I out of my mind?
You're not. You're not. And I know people are, well, what about, I saw that, what about Logan Paul, what about The Undertaker? Look, there are exceptions to every rule, whether it be right or not. And when it comes to those two cases, Logan Paul can just quit and continue doing what Logan Paul does. Undertaker is a Legends contracted wrestler. He's not around all of the time. And at the same time, again, if you're just starting out and you're trying to make your way in this business, to two people who have already made it in their businesses, it's not the same. You don't get those same graces. And even then, you're not going to... that is silly to me to point out, well, there's hypocrisy. There is hypocrisy everywhere when it comes to that sort of stuff. But if you're just starting with a company starting out, I don't care if you're WWE or AEW, there's going to be things that they don't want to see on your social media, period. That's why companies across the board have social media policies. How much they choose to crack down and, go after people for it is a different story. Who they go after may be a different story, but it is not unusual to have that. And frankly, in this day and age, it is smart to remind people, younger people especially, just starting out, who have grown up with all of this social media that they just almost take for granted sometimes with what they put on there. Hey, this may be something that might come back to get you later or might cause you some problems. So to make it easier on yourself, make sure you take away anything that may be offensive, whatever you want to say. You may want to temper that and check that. That's not a stupid thing to do.
No, apparently looking at this right here, WWE is the enemy for wanting you not to put stupid stuff on social media. Anyway. So let's talk about these ratings. That's big, exciting news to transition away from clean up your social media if you want a job.
There's some of the other things that are a part of this too, which again, there are positives to WWE doing this in that one of the big concerns that WWE would have with having their people work on indie shows would be, who put up the ring? What condition is the ring in? Are these mats clean? Like, a lot of those things that people might roll their eyes and laugh at, like, that's important, And so to have, again, a WWE accredited training center, I mean, that's actually a good thing in some ways, to make sure that, okay, you're going into a place with certain standards. Now, from there,
I think there's a reason they mentioned the places they mentioned. Like, I'm sure that, like, Booker T's Reality of Wrestling and Cody's school and Seth's school, I mean, they're probably going to all get a WWE ring.
Yeah.
And
look, the Monster Factory has pumped out a lot of people. We'll see about them. There's plenty of known wrestling training centers around that are very good, and we'll see what happens with all of them. But it's interesting as far as, okay, if you get a stipend from WWE that will help you with your travel or help you with something, what do you then owe them? If you sell merch, do they get a chunk of your merch? If you're the company, are there things you're going to have to kick back to WWE? How is all that going to work? It's just going to be interesting to see how this all plays itself out, because there are going to be people I'm sure that are thrilled with it, and there are going to be people that we hear about who entered the system and it didn't work for them, and we're going to hear about all the negatives of it too. But, as it stands right now, there's a lot of questions with what they've put out that, again, lead to other questions as far as how is this going to work in its actual execution.
All right, Rampage Friday, 241,000 viewers and a 0.09. SmackDown, 1.4 million viewers and a 0.43. Trying to find all these numbers here. And Collision, 321,000 and a 0.09. None of these numbers are great, but it's the World Series. This was well known. This was going to happen. And they all took a hit. Although SmackDown actually held up pretty good, quite frankly. It was actually up from the week prior, head-to-head with the World Series. And Collision was down, and Rampage actually was up. So there you go. Collision was the only one that got hit. Of course, they also had a UFC pay-per-view. I don't know how much that...
and college football and everything else that was going on. Saturday night it's a tough night.
I'm looking at this.
Oh, God, what are they saying now?
Would this be
Oh,
said
no.
if AEW did this? Why does it always come back to AEW?
What are you talking
You
about?
know, the thing here with
What
AEW,
is-
so yes, WWE doesn't want you to say stupid stuff on your social media, and you're like encouraged not to do it, so people don't. But like in AEW, people kind of say whatever they want. I'm not sure if people know this or not, but you do realize that people have been punished for what they have said and done on their social media in AEW. You just haven't heard about it, but it happens. And just because it's not made public, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff in AEW that
cannot
nobody ever
believe-
hears about because they keep it absolutely quiet. Injuries, punishments, fines, like all that kind of, it all happens. But, you know, it's not
I can't
talked
believe
about
this
it a
is
lot.
the biggest beef, again, coming out of this, or the biggest questions coming out of it is, oh my God, think of the kids' social media. You know, all of the things here that you can extrapolate out of this and look at and try to turn into a negative, or could be a negative, you know, for wrestlers or what WWE does to you. The social media aspect of it, I think, is, I don't know. I'm surprised that that's the beef.
Well, we got to find something to get mad about.
I guess.
And that's it today. The temerity to clean up your social media if you want to work for WWE. I don't know, man.
I don't know.
You know what's funny is like a lot of people should clean up their social media just because they should clean it up. Because, like, forget getting a job. Like, all people do is complain about social media and all the stupid stuff on social media. But man, if a company tells you that you should clean up your social media, they are an enemy. An enemy.
It's not like they gave rules as to, you know, what you can say and what you can't say in a script and all that sort of stuff. They would just prefer you not do it. And yes, again, if you've ever worked anywhere, plenty of places have social media policies written in. I just, again, why this one as opposed to, I would have figured it was, remember what happened with NXT UK and they wanted to do NXT Japan and NXT Mexico and they wanted to, I figured that would have been the biggest beef from people going, they're trying to take over the world again.
This guy says, not the indie deal. We're talking about the indie deal, not the social media deal. AEW aren't trying to monopolize the industry. This is just another sad attempt in WWE's long, sad history of trying to monopolize the industry. They're trying to do with independent wrestlers what they are doing with college athletes. Like I said earlier, people had suggested AEW do this years ago. Anybody can do this if they want
wrestling
to.
promotion, any of them,
AEW
Brian,
could start doing their own version of this tomorrow if they wanted to.
and they should. We talked about it with QT Marshall being at Cody's when AEW opened up. Okay, you got the Nightmare facility there in Atlanta. Okay, maybe you reach out to a Monster Factory that's in New Jersey, or you reach out to a Create a Pro in New York, and you have a place in Vegas because there's a bunch of places, and one in LA where you can feed people to. Like, yes, any wrestling promotion should do this. Is WWE going to be heavy-handed about it? Sure, they can be. They're the industry leader. They're going to have that opportunity, but AEW can still do this on a different scale. This is insane to me that that's an issue as far as networking and stuff like that, or if you were WWE or AEW that you shouldn't do this. You should absolutely do this. Absolutely you should do this.
All right, well, we got NXT on the CW and Fright Night tomorrow. NXT has Charlie Dempsey versus Lexus King with William Regal as his corner man. I can't even say it without being so happy. And then Axiom and Nathan Frazier against Javon and Cedric, NXT tag titles.
By the way,
Can't wait to see
do
what
people
happens there.
realize that the professional wrestling industry comes from monopolies? They just happen to be in cities and in territories, and it actually took all of that having to crumble apart because Vince wanted to take over. But like, it came from monopolies. This whole business has been was closed for years. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's actually, in some ways, the best it's ever been. Frankly, in a lot of ways, the wrestling industry is the best it has ever been. And the fact that Tony Khan does have such deep pockets and does have the type of friends like David Zasloff where, okay, I'm willing to take this ride with you. Like, to have these two groups is, frankly, again, better now for American wrestling than it's ever been. Maybe not so much for other places like Japan, but for here it is.
And also, Zarya will be facing TBA, Tatum and Wendy in a casket match, and Adriana Rizzo calls out her attacker. More after the break. Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. Warner Brothers Discovery announcement came out, and the gist of it is Dynamite and Collision are going to remain on Wednesday and Saturday. Rampage appears to be history, which we had thought. Dynamite and Collision is streamed live on Max if you're a U.S. subscriber.
$555 million over 3 years, $185 million a year. Average $185 million a year. It starts lower. The middle year would probably be about that, and the third year would be up from that, and then the fourth year would be way up.
Big question for me is, are all the archives up? Or going to be up? Can I go back 5 years ago and watch all of the Dynamites in order?
I believe that they will be. Yeah, this won't be till January. I don't know that as a fact, but they're putting archival programming on, so there will be, I don't know if everything will be up, but there will be, I expect that everything will be up, yeah. I had a little announcement I wanted to make. A lot of people got really exposed, when this.
Oh no, yeah, save that for the Garrett show. Save that one.
Why? You don't want any heat from these people who
no, but I've heard it multiple times.
I've been sitting here playing punching bag for these clowns for years, and this was great. This was quite the week of vindication between that Vince McMahon documentary and this deal. Yes, for me. There's an even bigger vindication for Tony Khan. Not that it's even though they're completely different topics. The guy who spent 5 years with all these clowns calling him a money mark, and they went through a couple of years and money losses, which a lot of businesses do, and they could afford it, but the long-term goal was always to make this thing profitable. So at the end of the day, here we are, and with this deal, this is going to be the second most profitable pro wrestling company in the history of pro wrestling, and all of these people that and it's like, I'm not saying you should have figured that much out, but in the last year, it kind of was leaning this way. And even if it wasn't going to be the second most profitable company in the history of pro wrestling, it would end up being profitable, which once you're profitable, the term money mark goes out the window. So anyway, this is like complete vindication. Jericho actually went on the show. It was almost like he was reading my mind with that line about, boy, did all these experts come off as being really stupid and out of touch. I don't know if he used those words, but they were. Because it's not like this came out of nowhere. We've been talking about this for months. I've been telling people. I've been telling them. I go you better frickin' pivot, because you're going to look like fools if this deal comes in the way it looks it's going to come in. And none of them could stop. They're so deep into it. They've been lying to their podcast listeners for God knows how long. So anyway, there's a lot more to that. But anyway, I did want to get that off my chest.
Tribalism over this one is out of control, brother.
I know it.
All right. Well, we have Fright Night Dynamite on Wednesday. Swerve versus Shelton Benjamin. The Young Bucks versus Private Party for the AEW Tag Team titles, where Private Party will break up forever if they lose. Adam Cole versus Buddy Matthews. Chris Statlander versus Camille. That was a big mistake doing that Camille match last week.
They've made a lot of mistakes with Camille, I think.
Orange Cassidy will take care of the Jon Moxley problem. I don't think that's going to happen. And we will hear from Hangman Page. That's the lineup for Fright Night Dynamite. And then we got Friday SmackDown, which has already been taped. Cody and Randy versus Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser is the main event. Bianca versus Lash versus Io versus Piper Niven. Liv Morgan and Nia have a face-to-face, and then Liv faces Tiffany Stratton. Pretty Deadly versus the Street Profits. Bailey and Naomi versus Indy and Candice. And Roman Reigns and the Usos will have a face-to-face.
I haven't seen the spoilers yet, so it's my hope that Giovanni Vinci comes out and destroys everyone that's involved in that.
Yeah, what happened to that
match.
guy? Came back and vanished.
Well, he's taking L's on main event now.
Then we got AEW Collision on Saturday. Mariah May versus Anna Jay for the women's title. Thunder Rosa versus Harley Cameron, Day of the Dead match.
You like that? How that has been built up has been something else.
Kyle Fletcher versus Commander. Yes. All right.
You gonna watch the Dia de Muertos show, CMLL show?
I got too much.
Oh,
Crown Jewel is on
best show of the year.
Saturday. And actually,
They drag people that lose. They take them and they throw them in this big volcano.
Yes, I'm well
and
aware.
Kill them. Love it.
we got far more matches than usual for a WWE pay-per-view. We got Cody versus Gunther, champion versus champion for the Crown Jewel Championship.
Well, you got to give the monarchy everything that they need.
Nia versus Liv, which is champion versus champion for the Women's Crown Jewel
The other
Championship.
big-ass green belt.
LA Knight, Andrade, and Carmelo in a triple threat match. Bianca and Jade versus Lash and Jakara, Io and Kyrie, and Chelsea and Piper in a four-way. Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed, and Roman Reigns, Jay, and Jimmy versus Solo, Jacob Fatu. Well, three of the Bloodline. We don't know who, because that's one of those
Gotta wait till Friday.
surprises. Surprise. Who will it be?
I hope Bronson Reed defeats Seth Rollins cleanly.
I don't think it'll be cleanly, but he should win.
Absolutely.
I want to see Bronson Reed versus Gunther, dude.
I know. Me too.
That's the match I want. We'll see if we get it.
Gotta get Dominic Mysterio and Gunther first.
We are going to get that first. All right, so the Raw show. This was a weird show, dude. This was a weird show. So
Can I
first
just-
off,
Oh, go ahead.
they ran Hershey, Pennsylvania 2 straight nights. So they did the Halloween Havoc show on Sunday, and they came back for Raw on Monday. And if you look at the ticket sales, it was like 6,000 for NXT and 8,000 for Raw. So basically the same people came to both shows, and they were tired by Monday because this was not a great crowd. And even worse, and actually I should say worse, but you know how I always rant about WWE or NXT putting stuff on social media?
Yeah?
So they are doing this show, and they did a show-long storyline involving The Miz, of all people. So The Miz is backstage. Or first there's a segment from after the show ended last week. And Miz goes up to Karrion Kross and the crew, and he says, listen, we got to go our separate ways. This is not working out. I don't want anything to do with these Wyatts. And Kross screams at him that one of my guys took a bullet for you. The only way out, Kross says, is either through the Wyatts or through us. So that was last week. So then they go live this week, and Miz goes up to Adam Pearce, who is having a bad day because he always is. And Miz starts screaming at him. You know, I main evented his whole stupid resume. And Pearce, who's having a bad day, starts laughing. Miz goes, what are you laughing about? Pearce points behind him. There's Karrion Kross and the crew. Karrion says, you're going to do something tonight, Miz. You are going to find Bo Dallas. And when you find him, you're going to ask him why he's getting involved in my business. Either that, he says, or I'm going to break your legs. This is like, oh, man. So they continue. They go on to the main event. First, we have a Jimmy. We'll talk about that later. But they go to the main event. They do the main event. Watch the main event. And I guess we'll talk about the main event. The main event of this show, okay, the Go Home Raw for Crown Jewel, is Damian Priest versus Dirty Dom. There's a bunch of interference. Dom pins Damian, and then Damian destroys the Judgment Day and the show ends. And I watched it and I went, why was that the main event? With the exception of Liv, who's facing someone on the other show, not a single solitary person in the main event segment on Raw is even on the pay-per-view. I could not for the life of me. What this felt like, when this was over, this is what I determined. Everybody woke up, wrote a 3-hour show, and about halfway through realized, oh my God, we're only 2 hours still. And so they went off the air an hour. They had an hour left of television they didn't show us. Because this right here was a top of the 3rd hour match with another hour that should have come afterwards. So the show ends and I'm like, what in the heck? Did we miss a full hour here? And then I realized, as I was reviewing the show with Dave later, we never found out what happened. Like, did Miz find Bo Dallas? Was that supposed to be in the 3rd hour that didn't air? Like, what happened here? So I wake up this morning, I open up my Twitter, and on my timeline is a segment that they put on social media after Raw. I never see these. I never watch them. Actually, somebody had also emailed me. So, like, once people start emailing me that I got to watch something, it's like, okay, this must be something. So I click on it, and it's a video of Karrion Kross in his hotel room, okay? And he's like, he's eating or something. He's just kind of sitting there, whatever. And you see Scarlett walk up in the background, and she goes, this is all, I don't remember. I didn't write it down or anything. But she walks up and she goes, Karrion, Miz has been kidnapped by the Wyatts. We need to go find him. And Kross, he's just calmly eating or doing whatever, and he goes, he's been kidnapped? Scarlett goes, yeah. And Kross goes, like, just now? Scarlett goes, yeah, he's gone. And Karrion's like eating or whatever. He's totally calm, and he goes, how long has he been gone? Scarlett goes, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes? Kross is eating, and he goes, 25 minutes? He's dead for sure. Just keeps eating. Scarlett cracks. She's like, I mean, we should still look for him. Kross goes, dude, it's been 20 minutes. He's dead. There's no use. Guy's dead. Starts eating. I was crying watching this segment. Like, we've seen the Karrion Kross push for years, okay? And everyone always says the same thing. They're like, why does Hunter like Karrion Kross? Like, he's just like a big guy or whatever. Like, they don't see anything in him. You have to watch this segment. This was the greatest thing Karrion Kross has ever done in his entire life. I was crying watching this segment.
Except for that Ventura
So
impression.
apparently the guy's been kidnapped. And
well,
like,
you missed the other one.
The fight. There's more?
Yes.
What was the next one?
Okay. What you missed was, and number one, I just want to say this. This has been the best Karrion Kross that there has been, with him saying, all right, break your legs. You know, that whole thing. Perfect. He doesn't have to be some mystical double-talking guy. Just be a jerk. He's going to be a great jerk. I think this is going to be good. But Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods are arguing outside, talking about their match.
Where is this?
And this is on social media.
Okay.
There's a bus in the background. You see the Miz walking, and his face is on the bus. Must be his bus. And then as he's walking, as they're fighting in the foreground, you see the bus door open, and you see the dreads of Uncle Howdy, Dexter, I don't know who it is. They jack up Miz, they take him in, close the door. Kofi and Xavier continue to fight with each other, and that's all you hear. So that one must have been right before the one you saw.
This is explain to me here that kidnapping, that scene actually took place on Raw Talk. So
Raw Talk.
Yeah, apparently on Raw Talk, which I guess is a thing on Peacock. I don't know. But
Social
anyway,
media.
he got kidnapped on Raw Talk is what happened.
Yeah.
And then Karrion, I was dying because it was like Karrion took his phone and he just like set it up on the nightstand or whatever, and it was like one take. And Scarlett laughed, and it was like, hey, we'll just play it like it's real. It's funny. Guy's dead. He got kidnapped 20 minutes ago by the Wyatts. What's the point? And then he just like put it up. And that was that. That's where we're at right now. Miz apparently has been kidnapped by the Wyatts. Karrion Kross doesn't care, and he's got to finish his dinner or whatever.
And apparently, either Scarlett is a great company woman because she's watching every show, or she's spying on the Miz, waiting to see what happened. Reported back. This is going to be a good Karrion Kross. I have faith now in the Final Testament. And who are the two big goons? Razor and Akam or whatever. Like, they have no personality whatsoever. They could probably be cut again and nobody would miss them. But if you could do something with these three, let's go. Now's the time.
All right, well, other than that, was there anything good on the show? Actually, the Seth Rollins brawl with Bronson was very good, as it always is. They always have great brawls. And Seth has been killed. He got a DVD, kind of like Miz, got a DVD off the back of a semi-truck through a bunch of tables. And Bronson was fine, but they took Seth to the...
Did he?
I gotta say.
Good.
I'm this Joe Tessitore has really grown on me. So, first off, there's a moment where someone gets thrown over the announce table and almost wipes him out. Man, this guy dropped an S-bomb on TV. And they almost got all of it out, but some of it got in there. And then, you know how a guy gets injured, and it was always Michael Cole going, "We've got an update on Seth Rollins. He has been taken to a local medical facility where," and they just like spit it out or whatever. Now it's Joe Tessitore's job. And they come back from the break. And Seth has been like given a DVD off the back of a tractor trailer or whatever out through these tables or whatever, and the medics come out. They go back to Joe Tessitore. Hopefully I have enough time for this. Joe goes, "Well, I've just been handed an update on Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins was injured in the match with, or in the encounter with Bronson Reed outside in the parking lot. He was sent through 2 tables outside, and he appears to have suffered an injury. He has been taken to a local medical facility on a stretcher in an ambulance. They are working on him. They are seeing what's wrong. He will be undergoing tests. His back hurts. So we are waiting for information on what the tests reveal and whether or not..." I'm like, dude! Oh, he's in the hospital! How long are we gonna go here? Like, was there a cue he had to hit, like me right now with the music playing? He went on for like 10 minutes! Anyway, back in a moment, Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. Let's do this unnecessary censorship.
Talk about your Psalms, talk about John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says I just your ass.
That was terrible. Horrible. They weren't the Heart Foundation. They weren't the British Bulldogs, okay? They're 2 geeks. And this celebration these guys did.
Oh.
I mean, they're like, Sean, give me brother! Yeah!
A place like that?
You 2 dorks. That's what you did! Why are you so excited?
Because they're awesome.
Okay. That was better than the first one.
It picked up at the end there.
Yes.
Unnecessary censorship.
He beat him. And 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 he beat him. I'm sweating.
Time to stop.
And he beat him.
Was this edited?
And then he beat him. And he beat him. So. I actually wore that shirt. It just says he beat him. He beat him. He beat him all the way down. Like,
all the way down, you say?
I dropped her off at camp, and the camp counselor just looks at me. She goes, "He beat him and beat him." I was like, gag gift.
Brian, would you for me again this week? It's too hot to do much.
That's true. It is too hot to do much.
I guess I just better do it because it came up for me.
I'll wait.
It won't come up again. It's pretty short, so I'll just do it. Yeah. Now I gotta find it back.
Okay.
It isn't
Dale, I'm
coming
gonna
up.
kill you. How about you just it? Okay.
Ouch.
What else we got, Vinny? I hope the granny licks her finger to turn the page. Lick that finger.
Page
Be an
2.
unnecessary censorship coming up. Lick that. Okay, let's see. Unnecessary censorship.
So Oro Ethan after the match and gets his ass just into the earth.
Vinny.
And Ethan is leaving, holding his all confident. And then Oro just comes back to life, and now he Ethan's ass.
Oro jumps him from behind.
Yep.
Then he his ass after cheap shotting the guy. Haha. That was interesting. That's quite unnecessary. Instead of suffering through the YouTube chat, click like and subscribe. God, this chat, dude. All people do is complain about tribalism, and then the people that complain the loudest are the absolute worst offenders. It's exactly the same. They can't say hospital just like... Dude, they do say hospital, okay? They say hospital now about 70% of the time. Every now and then, people say local medical facility, because they had to say it for years, but you're allowed to say hospital. You're allowed to say belts. You're allowed to say... there are no more banned words. There are no more banned words. But people have to jump in there. Oh, why do you do it? Why do you do it? Like, it's okay. It's okay. Can we just enjoy wrestling? Remember, people always go, let's just enjoy wrestling. It's always the people that say, just enjoy wrestling, that are the worst offenders. Always. Every time. It's amazing. Anyway.
I think some of these people need to start enjoying wrestling some more and clean up their social media.
No, don't do that. That's censorship. That's censorship. I've learned that actually I think a lot of the people here don't have jobs. Because if they did, they wouldn't be arguing this. But they do. So, I don't know, man. Hey, tonight we got the Bryan and Vinny show. We're going to watch some old Mid-South. And it's the Halloween edition. In fact, I better text everybody right now that they better wear costumes or they're going to be in big trouble.
Say Bill Watts will
I'll
not
censor
be wearing
them.
a costume.
I'll censor them tonight.
Although, hopefully somebody does wear a Boyd Pierce jacket. I would love to see Sean in a Boyd Pierce jacket.
What?
Boyd Pierce, the guy with all the jackets. And
Yeah, but why do you want to see Shawn Michaels in it?
Sean Garrett.
Oh.
Sean. You're a friend,
fine.
Sean.
That's fine. Well, NXT is tonight. Sean's going to be there. He should wear a costume. What's Shawn Michaels going to be?
Bryan Alvarez.
No, that's Javon.
Oh.
That poor guy's going to suffer because of me. God. All I was doing was trying to help. Destroy my life. We'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.